The February cold bit through Luca's coat like silver teeth. Each breath burned his lungs, frost crystallizing in his beard as he stumbled through the pine forest. Behind him, 3 sets of footfalls crunched through snow, bounty hunters who'd been tracking him for 2 days straight. They're getting closer. The thought sent pressure through his chest, that familiar tightness that came before the Bloodmoon Bringer symptoms flared. His hands trembled, the void at his core pulling at the life around him like a hungry mouth. Not now. Please not now. Using his power here would create an energy signature that trackers could follow for miles. Ice cracked under his boots as he pushed through a wall of frozen kudzu vines. The hunters' voices echoed between the bare sweet gum trees, close enough now that he could make out words. Split up. He can't have gone far. Luca's vision blurred from exhaustion. 3 days of running. 3 days since he'd made the mistake of healing that bar fight victim in Birmingham, leaving traces of his unpredictable power that turned him from invisible to hunted. Then he heard it. A pitiful whimper, weak and fading, somewhere off the deer trail to his left. Keep running. Every survival instinct screamed at him. This isn't your fight. But something about that sound, broken, desperate, alone, made his chest tighten with a pain that had nothing to do with his symptoms. He knew what it felt like to be abandoned, left to die by people who should have protected you. The memory of his own pack's condemnation burned through him like acid, as fresh and painful as the day they dragged him to the execution platform 5 years ago. Another shout from the hunters, maybe 3 minutes behind him now. Luca looked toward the sound of that dying whimper, then back at the path that meant survival. Damn it, he whispered and pushed through the pine branches toward the clearing. He found the wolf pup in a hollow where the snow had drifted deep, half buried in white that was rapidly turning crimson. Not a pup, too large and adolescent going through his growth. Dark gray fur matted with blood that steamed in the freezing air. 3 silver arrows buried deep in his side, and one of his front legs twisted at an angle that made Luca's stomach turn. Up close he could see this wasn't just a hunting accident. Silver. The metallic scent was unmistakable, poisonous to their kind. Someone had used silver-tipped arrows on purpose, which meant this wasn't random violence. This was an execution attempt. A planned assassination. Who did this to you? Luca murmured, his scarred hands hovering over the wounds. The wolf's eyes fluttered open, brilliant green startling against the gray fur, and locked onto his. Even dying, there was something regal about him, a bearing that spoke to powerful bloodlines. Those eyes held intelligence, awareness, and something else that made Luca's breath catch. Recognition. Impossible, since he'd never seen this wolf before. He would have remembered something this unusual, that distinctive silver-tipped fur, those penetrating green eyes that seemed far too knowing for an adolescent. Help me. The plea whispered through Luca's mind, though he couldn't tell if it was the wolf's thought or his own desperate need to save something when he'd failed to save so many others. The wolf's breathing hitched, blood bubbling at his muzzle, and Luca made his decision. This was dangerous. More dangerous than running from hunters, more dangerous than being caught. Using his Bloodmoon Bringer gift always left traces, energy signatures that trackers could follow for miles. And with silver poisoning this severe, there was every chance his volatile power would drain the life from this young wolf instead of healing him. It had happened before. Too many times before. But watching this magnificent creature die when he might be able to save him felt like surrendering the last piece of his humanity. I'm sorry, Luca whispered, pressing his trembling palms to the worst of the wounds. I don't know if this will work. He closed his eyes and let the power rise. Heat exploded through Luca's veins like molten metal. The Bloodmoon Bringer energy surged from that void at his core, wild and unpredictable as always. For one terrifying moment he felt it flowing the wrong way, draining instead of healing, pulling the wolf pup's life force into that bottomless hunger inside him. The young wolf's body jerked, a whine of pain cutting through the storm. No. Luca gritted his teeth and fought for control, wrestling with power that had never fully answered to his will. The silver poisoning fought back, burning his hands as he tried to draw it from the wolf's system. It was like trying to hold fire and ice simultaneously, the corrupted energy searing through his palms while the February cold sank into his bones. Behind him a voice shouted, "There! In the clearing! They found me." But Luca couldn't stop now, couldn't pull away without killing them both. The power had already taken too much. If he broke the connection mid-healing, the backlash would drain the wolf completely. He pushed harder, pouring everything he had left into stabilizing the energy flow. Sweat froze on his face despite the heat burning through his veins. His heartbeat slowed to a dangerous crawl, the familiar weakness of power drain dragging him toward unconsciousness. Then, impossibly, something shifted. The energy stabilized. The flow reversed, warmth flooding outward instead of pulling inward. Luca felt the silver poisoning dissolving under his touch, bones beginning to knit together, torn muscle regenerating. The wolf's breathing deepened, steadied. It's working. Holy hell, it's actually working. The pup's green eyes widened, and Luca saw something like wonder flicker across his features, along with unmistakable intelligence that made him wonder exactly who he'd just saved. Footsteps crashed through the brush. The bounty hunters breaking through the tree line, weapons drawn. "Don't move, Bloodmoon." Luca's vision tunneled, darkness creeping in from the edges. Healing something this severely injured always took everything he had. As consciousness slipped away, he was dimly aware of the wolf pup moving, no longer broken, the injuries sealed by Bloodmoon magic. The last thing Luca saw before the world went black was a shimmer in the air around the young wolf, that distinctive ripple of transformation magic, and the impossible sight of the gray fur receding to reveal human skin. But wait, before we dive deeper into this story that's about to change everything, I need you to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because what happens next? Chapter 1. Luca wakes to firelight and the smell of venison cooking. His whole body aches with the familiar exhaustion that follows using his power, muscles weak, heartbeat slow and irregular, the lingering taste of metal coating his mouth. He's in an abandoned hunting cabin, windows boarded up, a fire crackling in the stone hearth. And sitting across from him, wrapped in a blanket and gnawing on a piece of jerky, is a teenage boy with shaggy dark hair and those same striking green eyes. "You passed out," the boy says matter-of-factly, southern drawl thick as honey. "Dragged you about half a mile to this place. You're heavier than you look." Luca tries to sit up, fails, tries again. You're the wolf. William Cliggan." The boy extends a hand formally, like they're at some pack gathering instead of hiding in a hunter's shack. "Heir to the Ironclaw territory. And you just saved my life, so I figure I owe you one." The name hits Luca like a physical blow. Ironclaw. Matthias Ironclaw Cliggan, one of the two AlphaKings ruling the southern territories. Reclusive, powerful, and notoriously protective of his only son. Those arrows, Luca manages. That was an assassination attempt. William's jaw tightens. "My rite of passage. I was supposed to be protected, 3 of my father's most trusted wolves. But we were ambushed. They went down fast, silver bullets to the head. Professional." He pauses and Luca sees the calculation in those young eyes. "The wolves that attacked us kept asking questions about my father's allies, about the Alpha sect meeting next month." Luca's mind races through the implications. If William dies, it destabilizes Ironclaw's hold on half the southern territory. If someone's targeting heirs during their rites of passage. "We need to get you home," Luca says. William laughs bitterly. "Home's 60 miles northeast through hostile territory. And in case you didn't notice, there's currently a pack of assassin wolves and your bounty hunters between here and there." He studies Luca with uncomfortable intensity. "What you did back there, that wasn't normal healing. Your energy felt wrong. Like it was pulling at me and pushing into me at the same time." Luca looks away. "It's complicated. Try me. I'm a Bloodmoon Bringer." The words taste like ashes. William's eyes widen. "I thought those were myths. One born every 150 years. We heal or we drain depending on whether we're calm or distressed. Most of us die young because we can't control it." Luca's voice drops. 5 years ago I was framed for treason. Accused of weakening the royal guard, which I was, but not intentionally. Sindel Oakwood said I was doing it deliberately, working for enemies who wanted our alpha vulnerable. She lied, but my symptoms were the evidence. William nods slowly. Sindel Oakwood. Theodore's mate. Firewater Pack. Understanding crosses his face. My father always said the Alpha sect was a nest of vipers. Outside, a wolf howls in the distance. Both of them freeze. That's not my father's wolves, William whispers. That's the hunters. Luca forces himself to his feet despite the weakness. Then we run. They make it 3 miles before Luca collapses. The snow has turned to freezing rain, and every step feels like walking through molasses. William catches him before he hits the ground, surprising strength for a 14-year-old. We need to stop, William says. There's a cave system near here. Used it during survival training last year. Luca wants to argue, but his vision is tunneling, the moon-triggered fever spiking despite it being mid-afternoon. William half carries him to a limestone cave hidden behind a waterfall of icicles, deep enough that the entrance isn't visible from the trail. Inside it's dry and slightly warmer. William gets another fire going. The kid is competent in ways that remind Luca this is an Alpha's heir, trained from birth to survive. Tell me about Bloodmoon Bringers, William says once Luca's symptoms stabilize. All of it. So Luca does. He tells William about the first time he discovered his power, age 15, trying to heal his mother after a rogue attack, accidentally draining her life force for 3 terrifying seconds before the power snapped back and healed her completely. He talks about the years of not understanding why pack members around him grew tired, why plants near his home withered, why other wolves instinctively recoiled from his touch. They thought I was cursed, Luca says quietly. Maybe they were right. Every Bloodmoon Bringer in recorded history either went mad from the power or was killed by their own pack out of fear. The few who mastered it became legendary healers, but the path to mastery. He shakes his head. It's painted in a lot of suffering. William pokes the fire with a stick, thoughtful. What you did back there, healing me when you were already exhausted, knowing it might kill both of us, that wasn't the action of a cursed man. That was just good. Something in Luca's chest cracks at the simple faith in those words. William continues, my rite of passage was supposed to unlock my full alpha potential. Every Ironclaw heir at 14 performs the 3-day trial, survive alone in neutral territory, hunt a white stag, return with its antlers as proof. But it's not really about the stag. The rite is magical, old magic from before the Alpha sect. It awakens bloodline gifts that sleep in our wolves until we're tested. What gifts? William's eyes glow amber for a moment. Ironclaw heirs can sense intent. Not read minds exactly, but feel whether someone means harm or truth. My father can tell when someone's lying just by being in the same room. He looks directly at Luca. Right now you feel like guilt and exhaustion and shame. But not deception. Not malice. Whatever Sindel Oakwood accused you of, it was bullshit. It's the closest thing to absolution Luca has felt in 5 years. Before he can respond, William tenses. Someone's coming. Multiple wolves. They're out of time. Chapter 2. The wolves that enter the cave aren't assassins. They're massive, battle-scarred, and moving with military precision. Leading them is a man who looks like an older, harder version of William. Same dark hair gone silver at the temples, same green eyes but colder, and a presence that makes the air feel heavier. Matthias, Ironclaw Cliggan. Dad. William starts, but Matthias's gaze is locked on Luca. Step away from my son. His voice is granite and winter. William moves between them instead. He saved my life. I was dying. I said step away. Matthias's eyes shift amber, and the command carries alpha weight that makes every wolf instinct scream obedience. William flinches but holds his ground. You taught me to honor debts. He's owed life debt for saving the heir. The tension is a living thing. Luca slowly raises his hands, non-threatening. I didn't know who he was when I healed him. Just saw a dying wolf. And you just happened to be in neutral territory at the exact location my son was ambushed? Matthias steps closer, and Luca can feel the sheer power radiating off him. This is what a true AlphaKing feels like. Not just dominance but density, like gravity has more pull in his presence. That's quite a coincidence. It was coincidence, Luca says steadily. I've been running from bounty hunters. Heard your son dying and couldn't walk away. Matthias studies him with those intense green eyes, and Luca realizes William's gift, the ability to sense intent, is a watered-down version of what his father possesses. This man can probably read him like an open book. You're Luca Hughes, Matthias says finally. The Bloodmoon Bringer accused of treason against the Firewater Royal Guard. Not a question. I was framed. So you say. But my son's ambush wasn't random chance. Someone knew the route of his rite of passage, knew when the protection would be minimal. And then you, a fugitive from Firewater Pack accused of weakening guards, appear at precisely the right moment. The implication is a punch to the gut. Matthias thinks Luca was part of the assassination plot. Dad, no. William's voice cracks. He's not, his intent was pure. I felt it. Your rite isn't complete. Your gift isn't fully awakened yet. Matthias signals to his wolves. Bind him. We'll take him back to Ironclaw Hold for questioning. As two massive wolves move toward Luca, William does something that makes everyone freeze. He shifts, partial transformation painful for someone still learning control, and puts himself between Luca and his father's guards, fangs bared. He saved my life. By blood and moon, I declare him under Heir's protection until debt is satisfied. The cave goes silent. One of the older wolves whistles low. Sir, Heir's protection is, that's unbreakable. Ancient law. Matthias's expression could crack stone. You don't know what you're invoking, son. I know exactly what I'm doing. William's voice doesn't waver despite the trembling in his partially shifted limbs. He gets fair hearing. He gets to speak his truth. And you have to actually listen. Father and son stare at each other in a battle of wills that Luca can't begin to follow. Finally, Matthias nods once, sharp. Fine. He comes to Ironclaw Hold. Under guard. And William, his voice softens just slightly. We'll discuss this later. As they're escorted out of the cave, one of the guards leans close to Luca and whispers, You better be worth it, Bloodmoon. That boy just bet his reputation on you. Ironclaw Hold carved itself into the mountain like a scar, half fortress, half natural cavern, all function. No gilded columns or marble halls, just solid stone and practical defenses that spoke of a pack more concerned with survival than spectacle. Luca appreciated the honesty of it, even as they locked him in a room that pretended not to be a cell. The bed was comfortable enough, the window real, but the lock clicked from the outside. An hour later, that lock whispered open. Luca turned to find a woman slipping through the door with the practiced silence of someone used to being invisible. Plain-faced, mid-20s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing and movements too careful for casual. She smelled wrong, wolfsbane and absolute emptiness where a scent signature should be. Cassandra? His voice came out hoarse with disbelief. The pack seer from Firewater nodded, already crossing to him. I don't have much time. Ironclaw's borders are locked down tight, but old magic has its ways. You're still with Firewater? After helping me? Sindel doesn't know it was me. I'm very good at being overlooked. Cassandra gripped his arm, urgency radiating from her touch. Luca, listen. The assassination attempt on William wasn't about William. It was a test. The word settled into his gut like a stone. A test for what? Rufus Halliday is making his move. 5 years positioning wolves in every major pack, and the Alpha sect meeting next month. He's planning to assassinate at least 3 AlphaKings. Luca's blood froze. That's suicide. The laws against alpha killing mean nothing if no one knows who's responsible. Rufus has been careful. The wolves who attacked William can't be traced to him directly. Cassandra's face hardened. And Sindel's been poisoning Theodore for 2 years. He'll die of natural causes right before the meeting, leaving Firewater in chaos. She'll claim Rufus as her new mate, uniting their territories. Rufus Halliday. Wolfsbane Pack. Western Territory. But he has allies everywhere. Wolves he's promised power in his new order. All 8 territories under one rule. Her eyes burned with fierce certainty. That's why you were framed, Luca. Bloodmoon Bringers don't just heal bodies. You reveal corruption, sense hidden sickness, force truth into light. Sindel knew that if you ever mastered your power, you'd eventually sense the poison in Theodore and expose everything. I can barely control it, Luca protested. How am I supposed to? You saved William exhausted, hunted, and distressed. Your power stabilized when it should have been chaos. Cassandra gripped his shoulders. That's growth. You're finally learning. Matthias doesn't trust you yet, but he will. And when he does, convince him the real threat isn't you, it's what's coming at that Alpha Sect meeting. How do I prove Sindel's guilt? You can't. Not directly. Her smile turned grim. But if you can stand in the same room as Rufus and Sindel when they think they're safe. Bloodmoon Bringers reveal truth. It's what you were made for. She slipped away before he could respond, leaving him alone with a conspiracy that threatened to devour the pack world. Chapter 3. But for the first time in 5 years, the weight pressing on his chest felt less like despair and more like purpose. Matthias summoned him at dawn. The AlphaKing study was all function. Territorial maps pinned to stone walls, a desk buried under intelligence reports, weapons mounted with the reverence of tools actually used. William stood near the window in formal clothes that aged him beyond 14, green eyes alert despite the early hour. Sit. Matthias didn't look up from the file he was reading. Luca sat. The AlphaKing paced like caged lightning, controlled tension in every movement. My trackers analyzed the ambush site. The wolves who attacked William's detail were professionals. Military precision, coordinated assault. No pack marks, but one left blood behind. He slid a file across the desk. Lee Thorne. Dishonorably discharged from Firewater Pack 3 years ago. Last known location, Wolf's Bane territory. Luca's pulse hammered. Wolf's Bane, Rufus Halliday's pack. That's suspicious. Yes. Matthias's stare could drill through granite. But it doesn't prove you weren't involved. You were Firewater before Exile. You could be working for Theodore Oakwood, destabilizing Ironclaw. My father doesn't think that, William interjected. He's being thorough. Theodore Oakwood is dying, Luca said quietly. Both sets of Ironclaw eyes snapped to him like wolves scenting blood. What? Poisoned by his own mate. 2 years now. He'll die right before the Alpha Sect meeting, leaving Firewater in chaos. Chaos Rufus Halliday will exploit to unite all territories under his rule. The silence pressed against Luca's eardrums. Matthias moved with alpha speed, suddenly close enough that Luca could see amber bleeding into green. How do you know this? Pack Seer. Helped me escape 5 years ago. She came last night. No one entered Ironclaw Hold last night. Old magic. She's wolfless, no sense signature. I know how it sounds. It sounds like deflection. Matthias's voice dropped to something lethal. My son nearly died. If you're lying, if you're playing games for Rufus or Theodore or anyone. I'm not. Luca met those burning eyes despite every instinct screaming submission. You can sense intent. Your gift's stronger than William's. So look at me and tell me if I'm lying. Matthias went absolutely still. The moment crystallized, suspended between belief and violence. Then the AlphaKing stepped back. You believe it? Doesn't mean it's true. Your seer could be manipulating you. Cassandra saved my life. Risked everything. Or she's using you. Matthias returned to his desk, but the aggression had shifted to calculation. But Lee Thorne is real. And there have been rumors, wolves transferring packs unusually strange loyalty oaths. I dismissed it as politics, but if Rufus is actually making a play? William leaned forward. Dad, what if it's true? What if someone's planning to attack the Alpha Sect meeting? Then we have 3 weeks to prove it or walk into a massacre. Matthias drummed his fingers, the first nervous gesture Luca had witnessed. But I can't accuse a fellow Alpha on the word of an exiled healer and an invisible seer. The Alpha Sect would call it a power grab. So what do we do? William asked. Matthias studied Luca. We investigate. Quietly. You stay here under guard until I verify your story. If you're telling the truth, you're our witness. If you're lying... He left the threat unfinished. There's one way to know for sure. Luca's mouth felt desert dry. My Bloodmoon Bringer ability doesn't just heal. When I'm calm, controlled, I can sense sickness, corruption, things wrong in a body or place. How I used to diagnose injuries. You want to test this on someone? On Theodore Oakwood. Let me near him, I'll tell you if he's poisoned. Luca's hands clenched. I'm not asking for freedom or trust. Just a chance to prove Sindel's guilt before more people die. Matthias exchanged a loaded glance with William. Firewater's 2 days' ride. Theodore doesn't know you escaped. Sindel kept it quiet. If I bring you there claiming I captured you? He trailed off thinking. Could work. But one wrong move, one sign you're working with them and I end you. Clear? Clear. Dad, William said suddenly. I'm going too. Absolutely not. My ride isn't complete. I'm supposed to face challenges, prove myself. Let me come. My gift might help, I can sense lies. Matthias looked ready to argue, but something softened in his expression. You've already proven yourself, son. Standing up to me in that cave. He shook his head. That took courage I didn't have at your age. But this is dangerous. So was being ambushed and left for dead. William's jaw set stubbornly. I'm not a child anymore. Let me help. Father and son locked eyes in silent understanding. Finally Matthias sighed. You stay within sight. Any danger you run. Non-negotiable. William grinned. Deal. Luca watched their easy affection with something painful blooming in his chest. 5 years without family. Without anyone willing to stand beside him. Matthias stood. We leave at dawn. Luca, you'll be bound and collared, has to look real. William, start preparations. Small team, people I trust absolutely. He paused at the door. If your seer's right, if this conspiracy is real, you might be the key. Bloodmoon Bringers reveal truth. Maybe it's time the Alpha sect had some revealed. After dismissal, William walked Luca back. You okay? Why wouldn't I be? Because you just volunteered to walk back into the territory that tried to execute you, trust an AlphaKing who's not sure you're innocent, and expose a conspiracy that could kill us all. William grinned. Light stuff. Despite everything, Luca laughed. When you put it that way? Hey. William's voice turned serious. My gift isn't as strong as Dad's, but I feel your terror. Bone deep scared. So why? Luca was quiet. 5 years ago I ran. Let Sindel's lies stand, let myself be branded traitor without fighting. People I served would think I betrayed them. I can't change the past, but maybe... He swallowed hard. Maybe I can stop it happening to others. Use this cursed power for something that matters. Not cursed, William said firmly. Just rare. There's a difference. At Luca's door, William hesitated. My mom died when I was 6. Rogue attack. Dad hasn't let anyone close since. He's afraid of losing people. But the way he looked at you today... The boy's eyes held too much understanding for 14. He's starting to trust you. Don't make him regret it. I won't. Good. Because if you do, I'll kick your ass. And I'm still growing into my alpha strength, so it'd be really embarrassing for you. Luca laughed again. William grinned and left. Alone, Luca sat on the bed, heart racing. In 3 days he'd be back in Firewater territory. Back where they wanted him dead. But this time he wasn't running. This time he'd reveal the truth, even if it destroyed him. Chapter 4. The journey to Firewater territory takes them through the backwoods of Alabama, swampland and pine forests, abandoned textile mills from the Old South, small towns where Confederate flags still hang and everyone knows everyone's business. They travel in wolf form, mostly faster and less conspicuous than a caravan. Luca wears a silver collar that suppresses his Bloodmoon Bringer energy, uncomfortable but necessary to sell the story that he's a captured fugitive. William stays close, and Luca realizes the boy is deliberately positioning himself between Luca and the other guards, protecting him. On the second night, they camp near a cypress swamp. Matthias sits beside the fire while his wolves patrol the perimeter. He's been mostly silent the whole journey, but now he speaks. Tell me about the night you were arrested. Luca pokes at the fire with a stick, memories rising like bitter smoke. I'd been in the Royal Guard for 3 years. Kept noticing the other guards were getting weaker. Slower reflexes, more tired, taking longer to heal from training injuries. I didn't understand why until one of the older healers pulled me aside and told me what I was. A Bloodmoon Bringer. Yeah. By then the damage was done. I tried to leave the guard, but Sindel Oakwood appeared at my quarters that night. Said she knew what I was, said she'd been watching me drain the guards deliberately. She had witnesses, other guards who'd gotten sick around me, documentation of the decline. She claimed she'd intercepted messages between me and an enemy pack, that I was weakening Firewater's defenses for an invasion. Were there messages? No. But she produced them anyway, forgeries good enough to fool Alpha Theodore. My own packmates testified against me. They'd felt the drain of my power, felt themselves getting weaker. They genuinely believed I was doing it on purpose. Luca's voice hardens. The worst part was that I couldn't even argue. I was making them weaker. I just didn't know how to stop it. Matthias is quiet for a moment. You know what I think? I think Sindel chose you specifically because you were the perfect scapegoat. A Bloodmoon Bringer with unstable power, no family connections, easy to isolate and discredit. And I think she needed you gone because you're a truth teller, even when you don't mean to be. Your power responds to corruption. It would have eventually sensed the poison in Theodore even if you didn't consciously realize it. That's what Cassandra said. Your seer is smart. Matthias stares into the flames. I lost my mate 8 years ago. Started seeing threats everywhere, trusted no one. Built Ironclaw hold into a fortress and kept William isolated, thinking I was protecting him. But all I did was make him a target because everyone knew he was my only weakness. He looks at Luca. You could have let him die. Saved yourself the trouble, kept running. But you didn't. That says something about who you are. Or says I'm a fool who can't walk away from someone in pain. In my experience, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. Matthias stands. Tomorrow we reach Firewater territory. Theodore Oakwood thinks I'm bringing him a fugitive as a gesture of goodwill between allied packs. Sindel will be there, she's his mate, she'll want to see you suffer. That's our opportunity. What do I do? Get close enough to Theodore to sense if he's being poisoned. If he is, we'll have confirmation of Sindel's betrayal. Then. Matthias's smile is sharp. Then we watch the conspiracy unravel. And if my power doesn't work? If I can't sense anything? Then we're back where we started and you'll probably die. So I suggest you make it work. Blunt but honest. Luca appreciates that. William joins them, carrying his completed rite of passage antlers, the white stag he hunted before the ambush. Dad, when we get to Firewater, will you let me speak? Depends on what you want to say. I want to claim public witness to Luca's healing. Make it official pack record that he saved the Ironclaw heir. William's jaw set stubbornly. If things go bad, at least there will be formal documentation that he's owed life debt. That might protect him. Matthias looks at his son with something like pride. You're thinking like an alpha. Yes. You can make the claim. They cross into Firewater territory at midday. The borderland is marked by old oak trees wrapped in Spanish moss, humidity thick enough to choke on. Luca's collar grows colder as they approach the pack center, a sprawling plantation-style manor house with white columns and a dark history. This was where he was imprisoned, where he nearly died. Theodore Oakwood meets them on the front steps. He's in his 50s, once powerful but now gaunt, skin with a grayish tinge that speaks of long illness. Beside him stands Sindel, beautiful in a cold, calculated way, blonde hair immaculate, smile sharp as knives. Matthias Ironclaw, Theodore greets, voice raspier than Luca remembers. You honor us with your visit. Caught a fugitive in my territory, Matthias says casually, jerking his head toward Luca. Thought you might want him back. Sindel's eyes lock on Luca, and he sees triumph flash across her face. Luca Hughes. We thought you long dead. Disappointed? Luca asks before he can stop himself. Her smile widens. Not at all. Now we can finish what we started 5 years ago. Theodore, surely you agree this traitor deserves public execution? But Theodore is staring at Luca with something strange in his expression. Not anger, but confusion. Matthias, may I speak with the prisoner? Privately? Sindel stiffens. That's not necessary. I want to hear what he has to say. For closure, if nothing else. Theodore's hand shakes as he gestures toward the study. It won't take long. Matthias nods. Of course. William, you're with me. As they enter the manor, William catches Luca's eye and mouths. Truth. Luca nods. Whatever happens next, this is the moment everything changes. Chapter 5. Inside Theodore's study, the Alpha closes the door and immediately sags against it, suddenly looking 20 years older. How long? He asks quietly. Sir? How long has she been poisoning me? Theodore's eyes are sharp despite the ravages of his body. Don't lie. I can smell it on you, that Bloodmoon energy. You can sense it, can't you? The corruption in my blood. Luca's heart pounds. 2 years. Maybe more. Wolfsbane mixed with silver dust, doses small enough to mimic natural illness. Theodore closes his eyes. I suspected. Didn't want to believe. She's my mate, the mother of my... We don't have children. She wanted them, but I couldn't. He shakes his head. I'm dying. Yes. And she's planning to take my pack. With Rufus Halliday. He's going to make a move at the Alpha Sect meeting. Multiple assassinations, consolidation of territory. Sindel will claim Firewater Pack as his ally and mate. Theodore laughs bitterly. Of course. I've been so focused on my own territory, I didn't see the larger game. He looks at Luca. You were innocent, weren't you? The treason charges were fabricated. Yes. I'm sorry. Theodore moves to his desk, pulls out a document with his Alpha seal. This is a full pardon, backdated to the day of your arrest. It won't give you back the years you lost, but it clears your name legally. He signs it with trembling hands. And this, he pulls out another document, is my testimony that Sindel Oakwood has committed mate betrayal and conspiracy to murder. Signed by an AlphaKing, it's admissible evidence in Alpha Sect court. Why are you doing this? Because I'm a fool who let his heart blind him to treachery, but I won't let that same treachery destroy the entire pack system. Theodore presses both documents into Luca's hands. Get these to Matthias Ironclaw. He's honorable, he'll know what to do. Come with us. We can protect you. I'm already dead, boy. The poison's in my bones. But I can at least make sure she doesn't win. Theodore grips Luca's shoulder. Bloodmoon Bringers are meant to reveal truth. You're doing exactly what you were made for. Don't let anyone tell you you're cursed. The door slams open. Sindel stands there with 3 guards, face twisted in fury. Theodore, what are you doing? Correcting a mistake. Theodore straightens despite the pain it clearly causes. Guards, arrest Sindel Oakwood for mate betrayal and conspiracy to murder an AlphaKing. The guards hesitate. Sindel has been their Alpha's mate for years. In that moment of hesitation she moves. Silver blade in hand, she lunges at Theodore with supernatural speed. Luca reacts on instinct. His Bloodmoon Bringer power explodes from him, not to heal but to reveal. Silver light floods the room, and suddenly everyone can see it. The poison in Theodore's blood glowing like dark veins, the silver dust on Sindel's hands from years of handling tainted medicine. The web of corruption connecting her to sources outside Firewater territory. Truth, Luca gasps, the power burning through him like cleansing fire. See the truth. Sindel's blade stops inches from Theodore's throat. Not because she chose to stop, but because the guards have grabbed her, horror and betrayal on their faces as they see the evidence of her crimes written in supernatural light. You, she hisses at Luca. You ruined everything. No. Theodore says quietly. You did that yourself. The door crashes open again. Matthias and William with Ironclaw guards, drawn by the power surge. Matthias takes in the scene instantly. Well, that's one way to reveal a conspiracy. If you can't stand people like Sindel, wolves who frame the innocent, poison their own mates and destroy lives with lies, then hit subscribe right now. Comment, truth over lies if you believe no one should be condemned for something they didn't do. Only manipulators and backstabbers would skip this. Luca collapses, the power drain hitting him like a physical blow. The last thing he sees before darkness takes him is William's worried face and the silver documents clutched in Theodore's shaking hands. Luca wakes 3 days later in Ironclaw Hold. His body feels like it's been torn apart and reassembled wrong, every muscle aching, the taste of metal coating his mouth, his heartbeat slow and irregular. But he's alive. William is asleep in a chair beside the bed, head tilted at an uncomfortable angle. When Luca shifts, the boy startles awake. "You're up. Dad said it might be another week before, I'll get him." William bolts from the room. Matthias appears minutes later with a healer. "How do you feel?" "Like I fought a bear and lost." "Close. You used enough Bloodmoon Bringer energy to light up half of Firewater territory. Every wolf within 5 miles felt it." Matthias dismisses the healer with a gesture and sits. "Theodore Oakwood died 2 days ago. The poison was too deep, even with treatment his body couldn't recover. But before he died, he testified before witnesses about Sindel's conspiracy. She's been arrested and under interrogation. She's giving up names. Rufus Halliday's network is bigger than we thought, wolves loyal to him in 6 of the 8 territories." Luca pushes himself upright despite the weakness. "The Alpha Sect meeting has been moved up and relocated. Emergency council in 5 days, neutral ground in Tennessee. All 8 Alpha Kings plus representatives from major packs." Rufus knows he's been exposed, but he's arrogant enough to think he can still talk his way out of it. Matthias's smile is dangerous. "He doesn't know we have you." "What do you mean?" "Bloodmoon Bringers reveal corruption. At the council you're going to stand before the Alpha Sect and let your power show everyone exactly who's loyal to Rufus and who isn't. No more hidden conspiracies, no more lies. Just truth. The weight of that responsibility is crushing. What if I can't control it? What if the power drains instead of reveals? Then we're all in trouble." Matthias's bluntness is almost comforting. "But you controlled it at Firewater. You chose to reveal instead of heal or drain. That's mastery, Luca. Maybe rough mastery, but it's a start. Theodore gave me documents. A pardon and his testimony. We have them. Your name is cleared legally. You're no longer a fugitive." Matthias stands. "You're also the key witness in the biggest conspiracy case in pack history. Which means for the next 5 days, you don't leave Ironclaw Hold without a full security detail. Rufus will send assassins if he gets desperate. He already did." William's ambush. In the chaos of Rufus's arrest and the exposure of his conspirators, Luca barely registers what's happening. He's dimly aware of voices, of orders being shouted, of the Alpha Sect Council convening emergency justice. When he wakes again, it's over. Rufus Halliday and 43 of his conspirators have been sentenced under Alpha Sect law. The territories are in upheaval, but the conspiracy is broken. And Luca Hughes, the cursed Bloodmoon Bringer, the exiled traitor, is being called a hero. Chapter 7. 2 weeks after the emergency council, Luca stands in Ironclaw Hold's Great Hall. The 7 remaining Alpha Kings have formally issued him a pardon across all territories. He's free to go anywhere, join any pack, or remain packless if he chooses. "You saved the Alpha Sect," the Eastern Territory Alpha says. "Name your reward." Luca looks at Matthias and William, who have become something he thought he'd never have again, family. "I want to stay here. If Ironclaw Pack will have me." Matthias steps forward. "You saved my son's life. You exposed a conspiracy that would have destroyed us all. Ironclaw Pack would be honored to call you one of ours." He clasps Luca's shoulder. "Welcome home." The formal pack bonding ceremony is simple but profound. As Luca kneels and Matthias marks him with the Ironclaw sign, he feels the pack bond settle into place, connections to wolves who see him not as cursed but as one of them. William grins wide enough to split his face. "Told you. Pack protects pack." But that night, Cassandra visits one last time. "Your story isn't finished," she says. "The conspiracy you stopped was just one piece of a larger pattern. Other threats are stirring, old powers, ancient enemies. The Alpha Sect will need a Bloodmoon Bringer again. Let them handle it themselves for a while," Luca says. "I'm tired." "I know. But you're also finally learning what you're capable of. Don't waste that. She hesitates. There's something else. Rufus wasn't working alone. His allies went beyond the wolf territories. There are forces outside our world who want to see the packs destroyed. Humans with silver weapons, vampire covens who sense weakness, fae who remember old grudges. They'll come. Then we'll face them when they do. Cassandra smiles. Good. You're thinking like someone with a pack to protect now. She starts to fade. Take care of them, Luca. Especially William. That boy's going to be an AlphaKing someday. Make sure he remembers what you taught him. That power without compassion is just tyranny. She's gone, leaving Luca with questions and warnings. But for the first time in 5 years, he's not facing them alone. The next morning, William bursts into Luca's room. Dad wants you in the training yard. Says if you're going to be pack, you need to learn to fight properly. Also, there's a situation. What situation? Refugees from Wolfsbane territory, Rufus's former pack. They're requesting asylum. Dad says it's politically complicated, but William's eyes are bright. I think we should help them. They didn't choose their alpha's crimes. Luca follows William to the yard where Matthias is already drilling guards. The AlphaKing catches sight of them and calls a break. New assignment, Matthias says. The Wolfsbane refugees need someone to assess them. Make sure none of them are still loyal to Rufus's ideology. Your Bloodmoon Bringer ability would be useful. You want me to judge them? I want you to help them. Show them what they can become without a tyrant controlling their pack. Matthias's expression softens slightly. You know what it's like to be marked as dangerous, to have everyone assume the worst. Maybe you can help them find their way back. It's not about power or politics. It's about healing, not bodies but broken pack bonds. And maybe that's what Bloodmoon Bringers were always meant to do. I'll do it, Luca says. William punches his arm lightly. See? Told Dad you'd say yes. Come on, they're waiting at the south border. As they walk through Ironclaw Hold, wolves nod respectfully at Luca. Not with fear but with recognition. He's one of them now. But at the border, 30 wolves from Wolfsbane wait nervously. They're thin, scared, clearly expecting rejection. Luca approaches slowly, hands open. I'm Luca Hughes, he says. Bloodmoon Bringer and recently accepted into Ironclaw Pack. I know what it's like to be judged for something you didn't choose. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to assess each of you not to punish but to help. If you're carrying Rufus's corruption, we'll heal it. If you're loyal to his ideology, we'll talk about why. And if you just need a fresh start. He glances back at Matthias, who nods. Then Ironclaw Pack offers you refuge. The first refugee steps forward, a young female barely out of adolescence. I don't know if I can be trusted, she whispers. Rufus's teachings are still in my head. Then we'll work through them together, Luca says gently, placing his hands on her shoulders. The Bloodmoon Bringer energy rises, warm and controlled. Not judging. Just revealing. You're not defined by his corruption. You're defined by what you choose to do next. As the silver light pulses, he sees it. Fear, confusion, but underneath, the desire to be better. To belong somewhere safe. Welcome home, he tells her. One by one he assesses them. Most are genuinely seeking refuge. A few are still compromised by Rufus's ideology, and those he refers to Matthias for counseling and rehabilitation. By sunset, all 30 have been processed. William appears with food and water. You did good today. Just doing what I should have been doing all along. Luca accepts the water gratefully. Using the power to help, not hide. You know what Dad said? He said you're the first Bloodmoon Bringer in recorded history to fully master the gift without going mad or being killed. William grins. You're basically a legend now. Super annoying for the rest of us trying to live up to that standard. Luca laughs, surprised by how easy it is. I'll try to be less legendary. Too late. You're stuck with it. That night, Luca stands on the walls of Ironclaw Hold, looking out over the territory that's become his home. The moon is full, and for once, the fever that usually accompanies lunar phases is just a gentle warmth. His Bloodmoon Bringer symptoms have stabilized, not gone but manageable. Matthias joins him. Penny for your thoughts? Just thinking about how much has changed. 2 months ago I was running for my life. Now I'm part of a pack again, helping refugees, being called a hero. It doesn't feel real. It's real. You earned it. Matthias is quiet for a moment. I wanted to thank you. For saving William, yes, but also for reminding me what leadership should look like. I spent years building walls, keeping everyone at a distance. You showed me that strength isn't about isolation, it's about connection. I learned that from William. That kid's braver than both of us combined. He gets that from his mother. Matthias's voice softens. She would have liked you. Would have told me to stop being so suspicious and just accept help when it's offered. She sounds wise. She was. Matthias claps Luca on the shoulder. Get some rest. Tomorrow we start training you in pack tactics. If you're going to be Ironclaw, you need to learn to fight like Ironclaw. Chapter 8. As Matthias leaves, Luca closes his eyes and reaches out with his Bloodmoon Bringer senses. He can feel the pack bonds, hundreds of threads connecting him to wolves he's sworn to protect. William's thread burns brightest, young and fierce. Matthias's is steady as iron, unbreakable. The refugees he assessed today are tentative but growing stronger. For the first time in 5 years, the void at his core doesn't feel empty. It feels full. You're not alone anymore, he whispers to himself. The moon rises higher, bathing Ironclaw hold in silver light. Somewhere in the distance, wolves howl in harmony, not a warning but a welcome. Luca Hughes, the Bloodmoon Bringer who was supposed to be a curse, tips his head back and howls with them. He's finally home. 3 months after the emergency council, life at Ironclaw Hold has settled into a rhythm. Luca works as the pack's chief healer, training younger wolves with volatile abilities and helping integrate the Wolf's Bane refugees. William has completed his rite of passage properly, and his gift has fully awakened. The boy can now sense intent with precision that rivals his father's. But peace never lasts. Luca is in the healing ward when Cassandra appears in broad daylight, this time, corporeal and urgent. We have a problem. Matthias and William arrive within minutes, summoned by guards. What kind of problem? Matthias demands. Cassandra spreads a map on the table, all 8 territories marked, but also regions beyond pack lands. Rufus's conspiracy wasn't isolated. I've been tracking the pattern since his arrest. 3 vampire covens in the Northeast, 2 human hunter organizations in the Midwest, and a Fey court in the Pacific Northwest. All of them received communication from Rufus's network before the emergency council. Communication about what? William asks. About the Alpha sect's vulnerability. About internal conflicts, about which packs were weakest, about strategic locations for attack. Cassandra's finger traces lines across the map. Rufus was selling information to our enemies, preparing them to strike when the territories were destabilized by his coup. Even though his plan failed, the damage is done. Our enemies know we're fractured. Luca studies the map, his Bloodmoon Bringer senses prickling. They're going to attack. Not just attack. They're coordinating. A simultaneous strike across multiple territories designed to shatter the Alpha sect permanently. Cassandra meets Matthias's eyes. The visions show fire, silver, and blood. Wolves dying by the hundreds. And in the center of it all, she looks at Luca. A Bloodmoon Bringer, standing between salvation and annihilation. The weight of prophecy settles over the room like a shroud. Matthias's jaw tightens. When? The autumn equinox. 6 weeks from now. They're waiting for the liminal time when pack magic is weakest and human weapons are strongest. 6 weeks to prepare for a war on multiple fronts. Matthias begins pacing, his tactical mind already working. We need to warn the other alphas, consolidate defenses, recall scattered pack members. And we need Luca, Cassandra interrupts. The prophecy is clear. Only a Bloodmoon Bringer can turn the tide. Your power doesn't just reveal truth or heal wounds, it can sever corrupted bonds, purify poisoned land, and shield pack magic from outside interference. You're the key to our survival. Luca's hands clench. I can barely control my power on a good day. You're asking me to use it to defend entire territories. I'm telling you that you're the only one who can. Cassandra's voice softens. I know it's terrifying. But you're not the same man who ran through that forest 5 years ago. You've mastered healing. You've mastered revelation. Now you need to master protection. William steps beside Luca. You won't do it alone. Ironclaw Pack stands with you. And if the prophecy says you're the key, then we make sure you survive long enough to use that key. Matthias stops pacing. Cassandra, can your visions show us their attack points? 3 primary targets. She marks the map. Firewater territory, still destabilized after Theodore's death and Sindel's arrest. Northern Rockies territory, geographically isolated, hard to reinforce. And here. Her finger lands on Ironclaw Hold. They're coming for us because we exposed Rufus. Revenge and strategy combined. Then we fortify, Matthias says immediately. Recall all patrols, establish defensive perimeters, stockpile silver weapons. William, I need you to coordinate with the other heirs. Young alphas can move faster than the old guard and will need speed. On it. William looks at Luca. What do you need? Time to train. If I'm going to use my power to shield the territory, I need to learn how without killing everyone in the process. Then we start today, Matthias says. Whatever you need, resources, space, wolves to practice on, you have it. Over the next 6 weeks, Ironclaw Hold transforms into a war camp. Fortifications rise around the perimeter. Wolves drill in combat formations. Healers stockpile herbs and medical supplies. And Luca trains with an intensity that borders on obsession. Matthias assigns him the pack's strongest wolves to practice shielding, pushing Bloodmoon Bringer energy outward not to heal or reveal, but to protect. The first week is disastrous. Luca accidentally drains 3 wolves into unconsciousness and gives himself moon-triggered fevers that leave him bedridden for days. But slowly, painfully he learns. The key isn't suppressing the power or forcing it into a specific shape. It's understanding that Bloodmoon Bringer energy responds to intention and emotion. When he's afraid, it drains. When he's angry, it reveals. And when he's protective, when he thinks about William and Matthias and the refugees who trusted him, it shields. Epilogue. Matthias enters, looking worn but satisfied. The other territories held as well. Firewater repelled the vampire attack. Northern Rockies survived the hunter assault. Our enemies tested us and found us stronger than they expected. He sits heavily. They'll come again eventually, but not soon. We've bought ourselves time. Cassandra? Luca asks. Gone. But she left a message. Matthias hands him a sealed letter. Luca opens it with trembling hands. You chose the third path, the one the visions didn't show because it required something impossible. You trusted your pack enough to share the burden. You didn't die and you didn't lose yourself. You became exactly what Bloodmoon Bringers were always meant to be. Bridges between individual power and collective strength. The war isn't over. Greater threats will come. But you've proven that pack bonds are stronger than prophecy, and that's the most dangerous revelation of all. I'll find you when the next storm rises. Until then, live. You've earned it. Cassandra. Luca folds the letter carefully. She's right. This isn't over. No, Matthias agrees. But today we're alive. Tomorrow we rebuild. And when the next threat comes, we'll face it the same way we faced this one, together. William stands and extends his hand formally. Luca Hughes, Bloodmoon Bringer of Ironclaw Pack. Thank you for saving my life. Again. Luca takes his hand and pulls the boy into a brief hug instead. Thank you for reminding me I'm not a curse. Just a man with a rare gift and a pack foolish enough to trust him. Hey, William protests. We're not foolish. We're strategically optimistic. Despite everything, the exhaustion, the losses, the looming threats, Luca laughs. That night, Ironclaw Hold holds a memorial for the fallen and a celebration for the survivors. Luca stands among his pack, accepted and belonging, no longer running from what he is but embracing it. The moon rises full and bright. His Bloodmoon Bringer symptoms pulse gently, fever, cold sensitivity, the void at his core. But they're not signs of a curse anymore. They're reminders of power that can protect as well as destroy, reveal as well as conceal, heal as well as harm. The choice was always his. and he chooses to stand with his pack whatever comes next.
If this story proves anything, it's that the most dangerous weapon isn't silver or strength, it's the truth. If you can't stand wolves who weaponize lies, frame the innocent, and build empires on betrayal, hit subscribe and comment, reveal the truth. Those who side with corruption can keep scrolling. But you? You stayed until the end, which means you're ready for what comes next. Click the image on your screen, the conspiracy is only beginning.